So our first two matches over very quickly, 37 and 36 minutes respectively. Next up is men's singles, and it is the three-time finalist here, former world #1 and former champion here of the China Open, Chong Wei, the #7 seed this year, up against Brice Leverdez from France. Well, as far as the men's singles draw is concerned, this is the top half of the draw, and the #5 seed, Chao Tianchen, is already safely through to the quarterfinal. None of the other quarterfinals played yet. We, of course, will be seeing Victor Axelsen. His match will be following the one we're about to watch, which is Chong Wei against Brice Leverdez. But let's make mention of Jonathan Christie, who yesterday beat the 5-time former champion Lin Dan in 2 straight games, 21-19, 21-16. What a wonderful win from the young Jonathan Christie. But here are the players for our match. Here is Brice Leverdez, the 31-year-old from France, and the fact that he is on the opposite side of the net will make all Malaysian fans a little bit nervous, because he's won 2 of their last 3 meetings, and of course the last time that these two met was in the very first round of the World Championships in Glasgow earlier this year, when this man, Chong Wei, was the #2 seed. It was 3 games and 1 hour and 15 minutes of pulsating badminton. In fact, the second game, Chong Wei, I think, won on a challenge, didn't he? Wasn't there a challenged line call? And in fact won 24-22 in the end. I think it was on a match point for Leverdez. So that was absolutely extraordinary in Glasgow. So 2 of the last 3 won by the Frenchman. But of course the overwhelming advantage is for Chong Wei. This is their 10th meeting, obviously, having played 9 times previously. As I was telling you, he is 31 years of age. He did spend 2 weeks, this time 3 years ago. So November 3 years ago, 2 weeks as 22 in the world ranking. Making his 3rd appearance here at the China Open, never better than this stage, the last 16. Yesterday he beat Saurabh Verma in 3 games, 54 minutes for that victory. Chong Wei, 3 finals, first reached the final here 10 years ago when he lost in the final to Bao Chunlai. He then reached the final again a year later in 2008 and lost to Lin Dan. But in 2015 he won the title, beating Chen Long in the final, having beaten Lin Dan in the semi-final and Jan-O Jorgensen in the quarter-final. What a result that was. Su Jianhao was his opponent in the first round, and my goodness, Su Jianhao has been flying back and forth all over the world. He was in the final of the Bitburger Grand Prix Gold. He played last week in Macau, and here he is here and lost very easily, 5 and 7 in just 26 minutes. So Brice Leverdez, well, his only and best Super Series semi-final was at the Denmark Open last year, when in the quarter-final he beat this man. That was his first ever victory over Chong Wei. And in fact, that victory over Chong Wei happened on Chong Wei's 34th birthday.
Ladies and gentlemen, on my right, Brice Leverdez, France. And on my left, Chong Wei, Malaysia. Chong Wei to serve, level, play.
So, as this second round match gets underway, it was a huge, huge shock at the World Championships when Chong Wei lost. We for many people, they perhaps wouldn't have known that Brice Leverdez had already secured a victory prior to that over the former world #1. But many people were talking about Lee Chong Wei. That was his big chance to finally win gold at the World Championships, having been in the final 4 times previously. And things just sadly didn't work for him on that day. But I think that loss has psychologically had a large impact on Lee Chong Wei. Is that a fair comment? Or?
Yeah, I think it has. He seems like this more or less unbeatable aura that he had around him is gone, and he sometimes is not really believing in himself. But then again, he was in the final of Japan Open.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, it's no secret that both Lin Dan and Lee Chong Wei, they're past 30. And they've tried so much. They've won so many tournaments, played so many big matches.
And been such a credit to our sport, both of them.
So it's really, really difficult to sort of be absolutely on the maximum of your capacity for the 10th China Open that you've already won it, and so on. So motivation is sometimes difficult to find. It sounds strange to somebody, but I've seen it a number of times that it takes the biggest events to motivate you, and of course the World Championships was a big event, and he still lost. But Brice Leverdez played a fantastic match that day. And you also still, these situations, get a little bit nervous. Because you know that it's not like, hey, the chances are going to come later on in my career. No, it might not come.
Yeah.
3-all.
And
yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think that's what people don't understand. Especially when you're young, you say to yourself, "Oh, I'll have another chance."
Yeah.
You know, maybe next year. But as you get older, there's this realization that the number of chances that you will have is running out fast, and therefore you put extra pressure on yourself because you feel you have to perform now, today.
Even though you're perhaps seen as experienced and strong mentally and so on. And we have to remember also that there was a coaching change or a coaching adjustment in the Malaysian team shortly before the Worlds, where Misbun Sidek, his old coach who was there when he first came forward, Lee Chong Wei, there's nothing he would rather do than win with Misbun Sidek, and that adds pressure.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't help thinking what a great move it would have been. There's Joachim Persson, former Danish international, now helping Brice Leverdez.
Oh, that's a lovely drop shot, lovely. So where is Brice based?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure exactly where he's based, but he's not based with the national team in France. He's practicing on his own. There's, from my knowledge, there's several players that, also younger ones, practicing in their clubs and have a full-time setup in their clubs with coaches and so on. Brice has played, his connection with Joachim Persson is from the Danish Badminton League, where they played in the same club a couple of years ago. So that's where he's connected. That's why he's connected to the Dane.
Yeah. That's beautifully taken, isn't it? We were talking about that earlier in the women's singles, weren't we? About coming forward and addressing the shuttle, coming from above the shuttle, and then you've got all those options.
And one of the things that makes it difficult for Brice today is that I'm certain that there's a bit more drift alongside the court. He cannot play as patient as he did at the World Championships in Glasgow.
10-3.
What's gone on as well? A late point advantage at the mid-game interval for the number 7 seed, Chong Wei.
I think this side is very...
Yeah, it's super quick that way.
Because when he's lifting, he's okay, right?
Yeah. It's super quick that way. It's nothing else. But I still think it's okay that we like get the best out of it here from this side. Like also find the length for the potential third set.
Yeah.
But like, and let's see if there's a way back into the set. So I suggest
maybe slower at the net.
I suggest you when you're high on the net to play the lifts, because it's easier to play them then. Whereas when you're low on the net, then maybe play the net. Okay.
Well, it's easy for us that they speak in English to each other.
Yeah.
11-3.
I like the way that Joachim was saying we can find a way back in this game.
Yeah.
No question of sort of giving up, or I like that.
Punished quickly that shot lift there.
Don't do that. Don't hit so much.
Oh, it's landed in. Ooh,
Yeah.
he left that in a very confident sort of manner, didn't he?
4-13.
He wasn't watching it land, so couldn't really challenge. I'm still talking to Joachim Pearson. Joachim Pearson was involved in the only Super Series all-European men's singles final, which was the Denmark Open of 2008.
He lost to Janno Jorgensen.
No,
Peter Gader.
Break, challenge, called out.
So there's a challenge here. Oh, that definitely looked wide of the sideline to me. And when you got whole kite, you might as well just get it confirmed.
Challenge unsuccessful. One challenge remaining.
We had players last couple of weeks. I've been at some Grand Prix Gold events, and players were automatically raising arms.
Challenging.
So I tried to challenge. That time finds the line, back line.
Service over. 6-14.
Oh, service fault call, struck above the waist.
Service over. 15-6.
How Long Hu is our service judge from China.
Play his forehand a lot now.
Watching this right now, Steen, it's difficult to understand. You, I think, called the match in Glasgow.
Yes.
I didn't actually. I wasn't there for that match because I was working either on a different court or later on in the day or something, and it's difficult for me to understand as I'm watching this opening game.
How could he win?
How could Chong Wei have lost that match and Brice Leverdez had enough weapons in his armory with his racket to actually have won?
Yeah, but he played a really, really good match. Everything went his way, so to speak. But he also, that's not entirely true because that challenge went against him. He had already won the match when Chong Wei took a challenge, and by inches stayed in the match and was in a good position.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at the score now, 20 points to 6, a whole host of game point options. Yes, it could all change. You've already talked about the drift. We heard Joachim Pearson talking about the drift, that it's flying much faster going towards Chong Wei.
Yeah. That means
that's a challenge too.
Chong Wei challenge called in.
Called in.
And the drift means everything.
Yeah. So what does Hawkeye say? Says it was out, and therefore it's the opening game.
Correction, out.
3号场地即将进行的是男子单打比赛，由来自泰国的汉农萨克对阵来自中国的
21-6 confirms the umpire. Just 13 minutes for the opening game.
本场比赛裁判员乔治·胡培兹，德国；周建飞，发球裁判员周建飞，中国。
Umpire Joe Hughes, Germany. Service judge Zhou Jianfei, China.
No, he's using all of his allotted time, is Joachim Pearson.
Yeah, he's been working a year as assistant coach in Sweden, Joachim Pearson.
20 seconds.
Finished his assignment here in fall. I think after the World Championships, maybe.
Second game, level play.
But back to how could it happen? How could Chong Wei lose? And one of the things that Brice did so well was that he played very patiently and was conducting the rallies. He had no chance of doing that in the first game, and it's also going to be difficult for him here in the second, because I have a feeling that he will struggle getting the correct length on his shot again, this time because he's playing a little bit up against the drift.
Yeah.
And Chong Wei can play more attacking on this side and steal time from Leverdez. So that accuracy that he played with at the Worlds and that patience, that's very difficult to do that again here today.
Comes from a good sporting pedigree, does Brice Leverdez. His parents and his brother are all involved in judo.
Oh.
Service over. 1, 2.
So don't pick a fight with him later.
So maybe if he loses here, then when they are saying thank you for the match, he can just flip him over Chong Wei and say, hey, got you anyway.
That's a good rally.
Yeah. Excellent. Brilliant. Excellent play.
Yeah.
Service over. 3, 1.
Look at that hold and flick. And then perfection on that cross-court net shot.
Shell from the adjacent court was disturbing Brice Leverdez. He's gotten good confidence now, Chong Wei, in the second round of the tournament, getting more used to the hall and so on.
I thought his win here in 2015 was quite extraordinary, because he was coming back from suspension. He had to work his way up the world rankings again, and to beat the then world champion in the final, having beaten the 5-time former world champion in the semi-final, and Jorgensen, who was the #2 seed in the quarterfinal. I mean, that was a great...
And won the tournament the year after, so he definitely could play.
Yeah.
Service over. 6-2. Service over. 3-6. Service over. 7-3.
And look at the body language now between the two of them.
3.
What a contrast.
And Brice has got the feeling today that nothing is really working, and everything that was sort of kissing the lines at the World Championships is just going wide. That's well played, though.
Service over. 4-8.
Oh, well taken. My goodness me.
5-8.
These last 3 rallies, they were a picture of how it went on in Glasgow. And I mean, we saw in Glasgow that Leverdez, he can come back, because after losing that challenge for the match, he was down quite a bit, and took time to regroup. Can he do the same here?
Yes.
Service over. 9.
I think
6.
I know it was a rhetorical question, but I think in answer to your question, it is very much dependent on Lee Chong Wei. I mean, I thought in that opening game he was just oozing confidence.
Yeah.
You know, but if it gets tight, then his mind will flash back to what happened in Glasgow, and things could change.
But then again, it was the Worlds, and
Yeah.
Chong Wei desperately want to win it.
Yep, fair point, absolutely.
So he probably won't get tensed in the way he did in Glasgow, I think.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Oh my goodness! Full length dive there from Brice Leverdez.
10-7.
Good defence there initially anyway. Then look at that. Talk about effort. That's magnificent.
Great pictures.
Yeah.
At that time there.
One of the best sports photography pictures I've ever seen.
Morten Frost.
No. Monfils, tennis player at the Australian Open. He dived like that, and he was looking horizontal, just as Brice did just then, but he was sort of a good 1.5 meters in the air with his dive, and there was a beautiful shadow on the court as well. So the whole aesthetics of the picture was just wonderful.
I've seen one of the famous Danish sport photographer getting the winning shot at one of Morten Frost's All England's titles.
Yeah, I remember that too. That was against, was that against Sugiyato?
No, I don't think so.
No? Well, it's a handsome lead here anyway for Lee Chong Wei. 11-7.
回浪潮一下，或者干嘛？
對數波。
Court 1, 20 seconds. Court 1, 20 seconds.
Yeah, look at it. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it.
Play.
Yes, it touched it.
Service over. 8-12.
Yeah, you can clearly see he touched it before it landed. What would you be advising Brice Leverdez at the moment, Steen? He's not that far away, so
no,
is it?
He's not that far away. So that's probably one of the things, cheering a lot on when he's playing some good rallies and so on. He's getting more and more into the match. But he's also just outside striking distance. So I don't think there's anything more to, and he knows what he likes to do and play this patient game and look for the smashing opportunities. So just encourage him in doing that. The problem is that Lee Chong Wei is playing with a lot of quality. I don't think we've seen him put one long from this side, where we heard Joachim Persson say this side is playing super quick.
Yeah.
Still, he's managed to control it.
Hit the top of the net. Had a little think about it, but fell back his side.
And from the look of his face, Brice Leverdez, I interpreted it as, it's just one of those days where I'm not going to get it.
And you can't show that, because if we're seeing it, then his opponent is seeing it.
Yeah.
15-8.
Perhaps also a bit better prepared today, Chong Wei. More alert to that it's important to start well. So you could say that first round of the World Championships, he should know about that. He lost to him in Denmark Open. Yeah, but it was Denmark Open after Rio, where he was so close to his dream, but lost the Olympic final and had to show up in Denmark. Probably didn't really want to go at that time. After that match, they played another match where he won easily.
Yeah.
So basically, you think this is a good draw for the World Championships.
Yeah.
And Brice Leverdez plays another match of his life. But here it seems like a good draw. And this is sort of the darker side of Brice Leverdez. I've seen this in a couple of team matches in Denmark where he was not very impressive. And then he's had some really, really strong performances in international tournaments.
Finds the line again. Lovely shot from Lee Chong Wei. Yeah, apart from beating Lee Chong Wei twice, he's beaten Jan-O Jorgensen.
Exactly.
Chao Tian-Chen, Tian Hao Wei. You know, it's an impressive lineup of people he's beaten.
So he's definitely got to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
By his opposition. in many ways, reminds me a little bit of Rajiv Usev before Usev got his big title, the European Championships this year. One that was capable of creating surprises, but didn't really get it together over a whole tournament.
Yeah. Well, after only 30 minutes of play, Lee Chong Wei, a whole host of match point opportunities. Oh, did a full pirouette on that defensive shot, Lee Chong Wei. Oh, yeah, totally deceived. And a very one-sided victory for the former champion, Lee Chong Wei. 21-6, 21-9.
Won by Lee Chong Wei.
Well, match score
21-9.
rounded up to 31 minutes. My goodness me, that was impressive. Well, it was just prior to that there'd been a defensive shot where Lee Chong Wei did a full pirouette. And that final punch clear, played to perfection. So confirmation once again of that scoreline, 21-6, 21-9, and he's safely through to the quarter-final, where he will play either Jonathan Christie or Ng Ka Long from Hong Kong. So after seeing Lee Chong Wei cruise to victory in his men's singles second round, we have a second men's singles, and it features the newly crowned world champion Victor Axelsen of Denmark, and of course the new world #1. He's up against Qiao Bin of China. Now this, obviously, with Victor Axelsen being the #1 seed, is the top section of the draw. We know that Chao Tian-chen of Chinese Taipei is already through to the quarter-finals. And as I was saying, Jonathan Christie had that huge result yesterday, beating the 5-time former champion Lin Dan in that first round encounter. So Victor Axelsen, well, always been a bit of a star, but even bigger star now. Waves to the fans as he enters the arena. He was a semi-finalist last year, a quarter-finalist the year before, last 16 in 2014, last 32 in 2013, and a qualifier in 2011. So every year he's improved. So if he keeps to the pattern, which of course sport isn't like that, but if he keeps to the pattern, he'll be in the final.
Yeah.
Have a good night.